Well, thank you, Mark, and thank you all for being here today on this heightened energy of the full moon of Kislev, which is a month of dreams, a month of trust, a month of light from the darkness, and also a month to really embrace the darkness, especially this week. We're entering the winter solstice, the coldest and longest day of the year. So I really wanted to focus today on trust as we start to unravel and sink into the darkness. And the Hebrew word for Kislev, the root of this name is kesel, which means trusting. So not just trusting that the light will return, but trusting in the darkness itself, trusting in the divine support as we move towards these more hibernative season of inwardness and of sleep. So for those of you who have journeyed through the Hebrew months with us, you may know that every month is connected to a chush, or a spiritual sense, according to Sefer Yetzirah, which is one of the oldest cryptic Kabbalistic texts we have. And this month is connected to the idea of sleep, the art and skill of rest, not just the autonomic rest, but can we rest with trust? Like we're laying in the arms of our creator. Can we really relinquish control and let go? And the world around us is showing us how to rest. This month is also not just sleep, but dream work, the whole art of sleep and dreams. The Rebbe Rashab, my favorite Chabad Rebbe, the fifth one, said that those who enter into sleep easily can enter into prayer easily, because both require this trust of letting go and knowing that you're protected and embraced by something beyond yourself. So this work, if you this work of dreams is not just when we're sleeping, but also the dream that we have when we're awake. Really being able to trust means that we can see, what light do I dream of bringing into the world? It's a vision through the darkness. And many people in my world have been saying that they've had vivid dreams this month and messages through their dreams. And it's really no coincidence that that dream world begins to expand. The Talmud teaches that a dream is 1/60th of a prophecy. So there's a lot of garbage in our dreams, but 1/60th in there is a gem. And as we do dream work and as we refine our waking mind, that percentage increases and we can allow in more downloads to come through. Another line in the Talmud, which I love, is an uninterpreted dream is like an unopened letter, from Rav Hista. So I don't know if we want to open all the letters this month, but it's amazing invitation to turn towards our dreams and turn towards sleep as really sacred this month. Another piece of trust that is woven into this month is through the Hebrew letter. Sefer Yetzirah also attributes every month to a letter that is how the divine light kind of flows into the world. And the letter this month is the Samech, which looks like almost a circle or like a womb. And the Samech literally means support, someach. And it comes from a line in Tehillim that the divine supports those that fall. So there's this fall, this descent into the darkness, but knowing that as we're descending into the darkness, we have this womb-like embrace around us. And I'll actually drop a photo in the chat that my friend made of the Samech. So you can see there's a circular shape, there's a womb-like shape, and there's a story in the Zohar of the divine addressing the letter Samech, and he whispers to the Samech and sends the letter down into the world and says, those who are fallen, lean on you. So if at all this month we feel like we're falling into the unknown, or falling into some sort of despair or darkness on any level, there's this letter that was sent down just to support us, which is beautiful. And last month of Heshvan was the letter Nun, which means Nephila, fall. This month is the Samech, so right after the fall, there's the support. And if you take the Nun from last month and the Samech of this month, and you put it together, you get Nes, which means miracle. So perhaps this miracle, this Nes that we sing about on Hanukkah and that we reveal through Kislev is trusting even as we fall towards the darkness. And in every descent, there's this divine support around us. The Samech is also known as like an aura of light. It's known as Or Makif, a surrounding light. There's always this light around us that's embracing us. And it reminds me of the full moon. If you got a glimpse of the full moon last night, I was like, oh, the Samech right in front of us. It's here to remind us that the light that's always around us, even on the winter solstice, even in the dark months. So I'll invite us into a comfortable position, and usually I offer this, laying down or in any position, but to bring in the samech, I really feel like it's best in a seated posture if you can. But of course, if you need to lie down, that's always available. And we'll really embody this letter and bring it into our consciousness. So you can feel free to keep your eyes closed and allow yourself to trust in the darkness, even as you close the light off from your vision. And if you feel safer today to just keep your eyes open, you can softly find a steady gaze in front of you. It's always your choice here. And of course, this is your practice. So anything that lands, you can bring in. Anything that doesn't resonate, come back to your discernment and feel what is right for you. So beginning to soften, whether your eyes are closed or open, melting the temples, loosening the jaw, especially on the full moon, we have a lot of accumulation of excess energy. Can we drop the shoulders and signal to our body that you are safe to trust? Trusting in this group support as well, that you're not alone as you descend into the mystery of your body. And noticing the breath as it flows in and out. Just welcoming yourself fully here. Whatever state you're in a non-judgmental awareness. Being present with what is alive inside of you. The dreams, the fears, the hopes, the losses, and just welcoming yourself here. And keeping your breath flowing in and out and noticing where your body exists in space. So observing the contours and edges of your physical being. From the crown of your head to the soles of your feet, being aware of the physical space you occupy. And yet Kabbalah teaches that the nefesh, the lowest level of our soul, actually extends 6 feet around us. So leaving the boundary of the skin and entering into the field of space around you. the samech around you, as if you're floating in the center of your circle. This samech, this aura of light, this nefesh fields just radiating around you, and you are at the center. What color or energy is your samech? And this samech around us brings us someach, support. So soften into the samech around you. And as you feel into this support, can you release an inner holding? Every controlling thought that we have has a corresponding area in the body of contraction. So every time we unwind into the samech, we're allowing these micro moments of unwinding, noticing the contraction, expanding into the samech, noticing the holding, releasing into the space around you. You notice you're expanding into one side of the samech, remembering that it really encompasses us fully, like the womb. So allowing in support from all directions, marinating in trust, trusting on every side of you that you are held. To keep the breath flowing, to really absorb and marinate in the trust from all sides, aware of the divine space in front of you, beyond the third eye, the heart, the navel, aware of the samech space to the right of you. Curious about the divine space behind you, the back of the skull, the back of the heart, back of the pelvic bowl. And as if there are eyes to the left of you, expanding also into the field towards your left. The big open space of the samech above your crown. And even beyond that, the full moon far above the crown of the head. Also a great protector. And the samech below the ground in the earth. So the samech surrounds us and it engulfs us completely. Where in your body, as you bring awareness to all these sides, can you trust a little bit deeper, even 10% more? And can you feel the trust that descends through your breath on the exhale? Some of you may savor the stillness here as the samech holds you. Perhaps some of you may have already have allowed in some authentic movement, inviting in any circular movements from within if that feels natural. It's like your torso is exploring the samech, or maybe from the base of your body, circling, spiraling up your center column. Any circles that bring you into a deeper state of trust. Whether you're in stillness or movement, keep the breath flowing. There's no right or wrong. We're practicing trusting in the inner directed healing of the body. You may also want to invite the light of the full moon into your samech, the light of Kislev, of miracles. If you feel your body has entered into a state of trust, or even 10% more of trust, we can ask ourselves, where in life, outside of this space, can we relinquish control and trust a little bit deeper? And if you're in samech circles or any movement, allow that movement to bring you back towards stillness. Feeling the samech within, the samech that surrounds you. And now expanding the samech to hold the whole group here. The samech that encompasses all of us. Each one of us allows the other to trust a little bit deeper in community. Each of us holding a part of the circle. Maybe you want to expand this samech to invite in others that are not present as well. Loved ones, strangers, anyone that could use a little bit more holding. Take an inward bow or an inward posture that resembles giving over your trust to someone else or something else and allowing someone else to trust in you. So in this samech, we're both receiving and offering support reciprocally. And together, to close, we'll take a deep, trusting collective breath in, deeply inhaling, inviting in the samech, the energy, into our body. And exhale that trust through the body and forward, offering it into the samech, into the community, into the world. And we'll gently open our eyes and keep that question alive. Where in life can we relinquish control even 10% more and really allow the light of miracles to emerge this month? Thank you.
So much, Jenna. That beautiful practice. We seal it as we do each day, friends, by offering an opportunity for those of you who are in mourning, observing a yard site. It's your custom to join in the mourner's Kaddish. You're welcome to do so. If you're not reciting Kaddish, we ask that you please stay present for another few moments to support those who are. You can put the name or names of those you're honoring as you recite Kaddish today in the chat now or after. And thanks to Rachel for sharing the words on the screen. If you're joining me, please rise in body or in spirit. And you can unmute at this time if you're reciting Kaddish. Yitgadal, Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, V'yamad V'yibrach Yirutei V'yambich Malchutei, V'chayetchon V'yomechon V'chayet Chol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala V'yisman Yariv V'imru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mivarach Le'olam Ulamei Amaya. Yitbarach Yishtabach V'yitbarach V'yaseh. Yitadar V'yitalev V'yitalal Shemei Shach Re'ela Mincha V'chata V'shurata Tushbechata V'nechamata Da'amiran Ba'alma V'yimru. Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'yakol Yisrael V'yimru. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Yiramav Uyas Shalom Aleinu V'yakol Yisrael Yakol Yoshvei Tevel V'yimru. Amen.
Amen.
Yakol Yoshvei Tevel V'yimru. Amen.
Amen. Friends, thanks so much for joining us today. When we want to thank Jenna
Bye
Sadaka at the
bye.
well for leading us as always so beautifully. And you're welcome to stay on for conversation about the teaching and just to explore those themes of the month of Kislev as we reach the full moon of Kislev today. And thanks to Rachel for holding our text space as always, so ably and beautifully. Um, and if you're leaving us now, we hope to join us tomorrow. We'll be meeting each day this week at our usual time. Just to note that next week we are going to be on a little bit of a hiatus during Hanukkah coming up. Just a note for those of you who are regulars that we will meet next Monday and Tuesday, and then we will be on hiatus until January 2nd, 2025. So we'll be offline for about a week in terms of live sets, but we will be, of course, have many opportunities to practice through all the recordings of our sessions on our YouTube channel. So if you have a question you'd like to ask Jenna, please put it in the chat and try to keep an eye out for that to weave it into the conversation. Otherwise, to feel free just to share your reflections on this beautiful practice today. Jenna, thank you so much. That was really, really just wonderful. And you wove a lot of themes for this month. Let me see if I can even remember them. All miracles, dreams, trust, and hidden light. And I was trying to remember the phrase used about the darkness, but it eludes me at the moment. And the samech. So particularly what and also on the idea, and I want to invite you to elaborate on this a little bit actually, about how the quote lowest level of soul or the most present aspect of the soul extends around us, right? Embraces us. That's a very powerful idea. And people don't have to believe in auras or anything like that to have this sense of that that ourselves don't end with our physical being or with our skin, but actually extend into the space around us, which really helped me visualize that samech, under the ground, up to the sky, and to move around in that. So I was really, maybe this was your intention, really experienced, being within this samech of the soul and of trust, and boy, it really needed right now. So I want to just invite you to just say, if you would say a little bit more about, that, because many people may not be familiar with that idea of like the soul extending beyond our physical selves. And then I want to ask you this, the follow-up question is going to actually be about you said you had a phrase about when we were doing the circling about activating or working with the natural healing aspect of the body. So I want to get to that's the second topic I want to get to. But first, let's start with the soul.
Yeah, well, I think we live in a very linear world, and sometimes we forget to expand into the divine space around us. But many practices in Judaism invite us to remember the expansiveness of our being. And we can see that in the mitzvah of the sukkah. Just walking into the sukkah, we're in divine
Mhm.
space.
Right.
When we enter a mikvah, we're reminded of the nourishment, the holding all around us. The Samech is the perfect letter for that because we can feel those circles of trust in our body, but also the divine support around our body. And I think when we get into a place of fear, and many of us do as we approach the darkness. Even Adam, the first human in the Talmud, experienced panic and fear as moving towards the winter solstice. We can get really isolated in like the limitations of our physical body. It's like me versus you. And the skin, the boundary of the skin, yes, keeps us safe from the outside world, but it also separates us. And so this idea that the nefesh, the lowest level, is 6 feet around us. Can you even imagine the higher levels of the soul and how expansive that is? And I think we're reminded of that when we see the moon. we have circle dance in many Jewish spaces, and the idea of the circle. That's why I love the moon and the cycles of the moon of time. It's like this Judaism's always bringing us out of the linear into the circle and then into the spiral. So I think it's really important in this time going towards the winter. And then when we kindle the first light of the menorah, it doesn't come out of nowhere. It's like, oh, I've been dreaming of this light
Hmm.
for the world. This is my
Hmm.
dream for myself and for the world. And then it's a physical act of what we've already been letting emerge.
Yeah, I love that. I love that this, it actually kind of obviously full moon of Kislev is always on the calendar, but I'm thinking about it as a specifically sacred time of preparation for Hanukkah, just the way you're describing it, right? That we're actually throughout Kislev cultivating this quality that comes to fruition. And it's interesting about Hanukkah, maybe we can talk a little bit about it because even though, it's coming up, it's always interesting to me that it isn't limited to Kislev, that it spills over into Teva, that into the next month. I don't know. What do you think about that? There's something which sort of points to it being the culmination of a process that happens throughout the month, and then that it isn't limited to Kislev, it then moves into the following cycle.
Mhm.
What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think it's beautiful, especially because when Hanukkah ends, Tevet presents to be a rather harsh month.
Hmm.
Um, The winter solstice in the Talmud is known as Tekufas Tevet, the season
Hmm.
of Tevet, really the season of like going into the body and discovering a lot of anger and like difficult sensation. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of tr like difficulty in that month. It's known as like the side of Esav, the
Hmm.
the brother of Esav. It kind of holds that month. Um, but because we have the full light of the menorah guiding us into it, then we get to bring that with us into it through Tebet.
Hmm.
So I think it's a beautiful like journey, and the whole Hebrew calendar is a journey of time. It's not like
Hmm.
month
Right.
to month. They're all, even last month of Cheshvan, we were preparing our wicks, so to speak,
Mm.
come into this month so that we could go into the flame and explore the dream work and the subconscious. And we could only do that now because the last month of Cheshvan, we used the senses to come and find our inner wick, like our inner column of integration. And it's all progression. So I think it makes sense that Hanukkah is like showing us this is like a journey through time. And it's a spiral. It's not,
Yeah.
month ends and we're done with it. It's all preparation to move forward and integrate and reintegrate. And yeah.
Thank you for pointing out that the Jewish calendar is not these like, I mean, whenever you look at a Jewish calendar, whether it's a list of the holidays or on the calendar itself, you think, oh, there are the holidays. But it's really helpful, I think, to frame the year as it's just an ongoing sacred journey that has certain touch points along the way. But things are happening between those. There actually are special sacred qualities but in those in between times that are all, and it's all connected in some way. So we've got that cycle, like, and with at the well, you're very much focusing on the lunar cycle of the calendar in that way. But then we also have the Torah cycle. And you didn't mention this, but I want to bring it in because I think it's just so powerful. That in this case, all the themes you mentioned, dreams, trust, are very much front and center in the story of Joseph and the brothers, which is going to take us through the rest of the Torah cycle, which is a whole nother cycle. So I don't know if you want to say anything about that. Like, where do you see that Joseph as a character, as a kind of prototypical character, who I think it really exhibits that quality of bitachon, of trust, when there seems to be like no reason for hope for him, right? He's in the pit, he's in the dungeon, really no prospects for things getting better, and
Yeah.
yet he seems to have some sense of being safe, and of allowing things to unfold in a way that is indicative of his trust. I don't know, do you
Yeah.
want to say anything about that, about where we are in Torah these
Yeah, I
days?
love that. Well, it's not a coincidence that 9 out of 10 dreams in the Torah are all in the month of Kislev.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really like beckoning us to lean into our dreams and to explore the subconscious. And that's what the flame is. It's exploring beyond the wick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, what you said about Yosef, he was saved because of his dreams. He trusted in his dreams, but it wasn't just an passive trust. There's active trust. Bitachon takes like a cultivation. It's not just, surrender. It's like an active trust. And one of the things that
Mm-hmm.
I love is I learned actually at my new moon circle for Rosh Chodesh in Kislev. There's a song that Alana Brody, she's a Jewish musician, she's saying about Yosef actually coming to the pit many, many, many years later of where he was put
Mm-hmm.
by his brothers. And instead of cursing the pit of where he experienced, utter
Mm-hmm.
devastation, and he actually blessed it as a place of blessing. Um, so I thought that was a beautiful just remembering that when we're in a really hard hit or a difficult time, like that is what brought so much abundance and fruition to the people later on and brought him to such a high stature that he could bless the darkest of place for him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think is part of listening to our dreams, that there's something beyond this moment, as painful as it is. It's like the flame is guiding the heart through the night, helping us to see beyond. And that's what the flames of the menorah do. They help us see the hidden light that's not there. This light, the Or HaGanuz, it says Adam could see from one end of the world to the other, like this totality of vision. And can we remember when we're looking at the lights that there's something beyond this darkness?
Yeah. That you think you just touched on this very beautifully, but there was a question in the chat about how to access the power of the Samech as that kind of um, all-embracing circle of trust when we're feeling unsafe. And I think that what you just said about about Joseph going back to that pit, of course, it's in retrospect, right? And it's a question like he went back and said, I mean, it all unfolded for the good for him. Um, I imagine that he felt unsafe and betrayed by his brothers as he was in that pit. So when we are actually, I mean, I took this as a practice of cultivating that ability to trust and to feel safe, especially in moments when we do feel unsafe, when we feel like trust has been shattered in some way. But maybe if you want to say a few words a little bit more about that, about how do we, when we're not feeling trusting, when we're not feeling safe, um, is this acting as if we felt safe and trusting, or do we need to start, first of all, by acknowledging the reality of feeling unsafe and untrusting?
Yeah, I think you're speaking to being present with reality and not being, head in the clouds, detached from reality, and being present with the fear,
Mhm,
as you're saying, is a really important process in trusting, because you have to trust yourself also,
mhm,
that your body is signaling to you that you need to protect yourself, or
right,
it's not safe to go and trust someone that's not safe to you. So the step of listening to your body, and if you're not trusting, then perhaps it's a protector that
mhm,
is keeping you safe. But knowing that those protectors are around us, but inside is always the Ner Tamid, that
mhm,
flame that's
mhm,
always connected to our source and trusting in the divine, and always coming back to that inner flame, that inner warmth that feels really important to me in Kislev, because I know I have a lot of protectors. Coldness, put this person away, like do certain things to protect the the warm, gooey heart space that is love.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, when
definitely.
you pointed out like a number of times, I think different things that when we don't feel trusting or we feel unsafe or we feel betrayed in any areas of our lives, we also we can acknowledge that and honor that. And at the same time, you pointed to feeling the trust of this group, feeling the trust of the seat, feeling, whatever enables us to access our innate capacity to experience trust or to visualize the samech. And I just want to thank you, Jenna, for offering, Dayenu, that would be sufficient for each of us to come away today with the awareness of this all-embracing Samech and to also associate it with the full moon of Kislev. Really a gift today. I want to thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure to have this opportunity to practice with you.
Mm.
And friends, we hope to see you tomorrow at our usual time. Rabbi Margie Jacobs will lead us in practice tomorrow. I'll be here as Josh is actually in Israel for the week. So looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks to Rachel for holding our space together. Thanks to each of you always for creating this incredibly powerful samech of trust here in our daily set. And we hope to see you tomorrow. Many blessings, everyone.